The Inhumans episode 5, Something Inhuman This Way Comes. Now, oddly enough, I think this was actually the best episode that we've had so far this season. Apparently, it's 5 out of 8 episodes total for this season, because I was very surprised at the end of the promo where they're like, there's only 2 episodes until the exciting or exhilarating season finale, so that really surprised me. We'll see if we get a season 2. I don't know. But this was actually a good episode. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. There was still stuff that was like, meh. Mostly it was Crystal's storyline. I couldn't have possibly cared less. They didn't even really do it. They didn't really do anything with that anyway. Like, it was her and the guy and his ex-girlfriend and Lockjaw. The girl said some stupid stuff because I kind of mentioned this. I think it was for the premiere. It was like all this stuff that's happening, and it seemed. I mean, I get doubting that there are people on the moon. I guess. I mean, you know, that seems like a bit of a stretch for, you know, superhumans on Earth, sure. But she was like, oh, there's no way this giant dog that I've never seen ever could possibly teleport. And I was like, it's a giant effing dog. It's like, why is there any sort of doubt? Like, she could have been like, this dog transforms into a human. And I'd be like, he could probably transform into 5. He's huge. Like, it's nothing from a giant dog should have any sort of, you know, doubt drawn to it in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, I kind of get the moon thing. At this point, I think everything should just be like wide open. I mean, well, I guess not even the moon stuff, because they, you know, obviously being in the cinematic universe, they've had as little as they like to talk about it in the TV shows. The first Avengers, aliens came from space, so even at this point, with that character being the age that she would be in the show, I guess if you go by the actual time span of when the movie came out versus this year, she would know. She would grow up having known aliens came down from the sky. Like, that sort of crazy stuff would just be like taught in school at that point. So I don't know. It was just very interesting. She would have been old enough to have experienced that. Like, that's not something you forget. Like, aliens, even if you don't live in New York, that's the type of news you remember. So just all her doubt was just like the typical thing we get in all the Marvel shows where someone says like, this thing is happening, and then the other person talking to him is like, that's dumb, you're lying. It's like, aliens, I don't know what to tell you. Robots that have lifted up entire, you know, countries to try to drop it as a comet to wipe out the planet. Nothing should be in doubt at this point. We've had other aliens, Thor, you know, like all that. Both Thor movies, Thor himself is technically an alien. Dealt with the Dark Elves, which are like aliens. So it was like all this alien stuff. People are coming in and out. Even doesn't matter where it takes place. That's a worldwide news event. That junk is gonna happen. Like, aliens, moon, space, interdimensional travel, even. But she didn't believe this giant dog could teleport. It was just like, I don't know. It makes no sense every time they do that. And it's just like, no one should ever doubt a single thing ever, whenever it's brought up. Like, outside of the actual devil appearing, there should be no one that has any doubts. And even at that point, it's like, who the F knows what's real and what's not. But anyway, that was like the tiny little story. Had no effect outside of getting on my nerves with the doubt. And they teleport to the beach. And, well, apparently they teleport like around the entire island, because Lockjaw, which they explained, he gets tired. So he basically, you know, they just jump all over the place. And they don't find anyone. So by that point, Crystal and whatever this guy's name is, because they didn't say his name in this episode, you know, she kind of gets a bit of a human lesson where it's like, you know, not all humans are crappy. You know, sometimes you need to just relax and not be like, you know, stick up the butt royal family member. So just enjoy your life. And that was pretty much it. That was like her tiny little thing. And that was kind of the theme for this episode, because Karnak was like the biggest, you know, had like the biggest story in this with him. I think it was Jane was her name, if I remember correctly. Him and Jane trying to survive pretty much the entire day after the dude, the crazy dude, tries to kill them and, you know, blow them away. Karnak apparently has like his powers. I guess those post-coital endorphins or whatever brought his powers back, because he split that bullet, which still didn't make sense to me. But I was like, Marvel science, I guess it works, because he doesn't have super strength. So even if he had that exact science, but I guess that's the point of it being exact, like super science, is that he could split that bullet even with his bare hand. So he splits the bullet, and it's like, oh, I didn't account for the bullet splitting into 2, and then you're right next to me. So of course Jane gets hit, and so they have to take off. They end up falling into the pit that the other guy was in. So Karnak just tosses a rock. The guy gets distracted. Then he gets a phone call, and we find out that he called in some. He made like a side deal. And so that guy ends up killing him, because he's like, I don't trust people that kill their partners. So now they're the ones gathering up the weed. And it's like, all right, well, just in case, let's make sure the tattoo guy and the girl don't end up escaping. So we need to find them and kill them. So no one knows exactly what's going on here. So they're kind of on the run the whole episode, but we get some cool flashbacks with Karnak and Gorgon because, or Gorgon, I always call him Gorgon, but Gorgon, and he's going through the forest trying to find Karnak. Like, he split up from the other guys, and now he's searching for his cousin. So he finds the blood spot, and then is like, alright, he's tracking him down, and so we have these flashbacks back and forth as they kind of switch roles in this episode, where Karnak, of course, still isn't at 100%. He has his moments where it's like, alright, this works and that works, like the bullet thing and popping the piece of the bullet out of Jane's back, which was a cool little moment. Like, I actually thought it was pretty cool, use of his powers. But they do the flashbacks, and Gorgon, he grabbed the flag, and I like the fact that they actually did it accurate, because they say that if the flag is up there, for people who might be, conspiracy theorists, if we ever went there, at this point the flag would have been like irradiated because of the sun and everything, so it would be like stark white at this point. So I was like, oh, that's cool, because if they brought it in and it was like in full color, I would have definitely called that out, because I'm like, I know that science, and that is very inaccurate. So, he comes in and he's like, I thought this would have looked cool, and Karnak is like, you can't do that because, the satellite is going to go over where the flag used to be, and then people will wonder what happened to the flag, they will see your hoof prints, and then we'll be totally screwed, because there will be this crazy mission to figure out what happened to the flag that's been sitting there for all this freaking time. So of course Gorgon ends up taking it back, and Karnak insults him and everything, and then he comes back a little bit later. It's like, I put everything back, covered up my hoof prints and all that stuff, and they have a really great moment. Like, I love what Gorgon said, actually, where he's like, Karnak is talking to him, he's like, me doing, or you doing something like me would be, the same as me doing something as ironically as you. And he's like, well, now you're just being mean. And he's like, not being mean, just stating the truth. And Gorgon was like, well, at least I'd be having fun. And he was like, look at you, even when you play games, you're just doing nothing. And it's because he just sat there, and it's the craziest thing. It's like, he's playing against himself. There should be no reason to, there's nothing to even calculate. It's not like he's playing with someone else. It's like, just go. Just do something. So that was definitely an interesting moment. Of course, that comes in line with them kind of figuring out like a new plan, and Karnak being like, okay, well, if I'm doing something like Gorgon, he's right only like 63%, and so she's like, well, I'll back you up for the rest of that percentage. So I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, all right, that's definitely a cool way. Or she says 14%, because I think she didn't say like the rest of it, but he's like, that sounds like a good number, even without that plan, even with that doubt. I have to, we kind of just have to do it. So ultimately things work out fine until, of course, they realize that the other guys are coming back. I guess Karnak technically could have taken them all down, but Loki is actually screaming to find him, and everyone turns around. He's like, oh, hey, but he still ends up beating everybody up anyway, and they break the bow staff, and he's using them, Kali sticks, if I'm remembering the name right, of the weapon. So he beats the guys up anyway, and everything's fine, and he gets tackled, and Jane comes in with the lamp, and is like, hey, if you don't let him go, I'll torch the weed. And so she ends up doing it. Guy lets him go, and it's like, cool, we're free to go. And then the leader is actually there, and he knocks Karnak out, and so they end up grabbing her, because of course she's wounded. She's got like nothing the entire episode. I was surprised that everything was cool with her, but of course, they got the trapper out, she wasn't infected and all that stuff. So she's still able to kind of keep going, just in a bit of pain. So they end up capturing her. He's hung up down, and it's like, hey, this is the truth. I'm from the moon. I'm an Inhuman. That's it. And then they just start beating the crap out of him. But Gorgon is, of course, on his way. And it's like, how Karnak handled this. So they switch roles a bit, and he ultimately ends up coming in to save him. By the end of the episode, the royal family is pretty much reunited outside of Crystal. But they do find out from Locust that Crystal is actually on the island, which I thought was cool that she kind of did that. And she also has like her dying wish moment where it's like, be the king that we deserve, because that was like the big thing. Which I love that, because of course one of the big things about the show is that the main characters, who are supposed to be the good guys, are kind of the ones who are like, yeah, caste system, and everyone being like, relegated to this specific thing, and you have no choice, and you're just stuck where you are, kind of like slavery. And this is one of those moments where not only did they have someone who had to deal with the caste system, but they also had the human character, who I go back and forth between remembering her name. But she's learning about all the history, and it's like, that seems kind of messed up. And it's like, are you always this mean to people? And it's like, you married the guy whose parents basically, killed off your father. It's like, or your parents. It's like, isn't it ironic that you are, fighting to keep the system that your parents completely fought against, and all this stuff that she's bringing up. And it's like, I think a lot of the issues that pretty much everyone on Twitter is having about this show, and I thought it was pretty funny. And so they're going towards changing these characters and making them, better characters, which probably won't happen until like the very end, when they actually like defeat Maximus and stuff, and it's going to be like, we realize now how crappy we've been by keeping the system intact, and then they'll switch, and then they'll be better, and I think that's how things are ultimately going to end this season. But I was like, okay, they're definitely, bringing it up, and they have this character who's certainly helped Medusa out, and, she's like, kind of getting, the end by, from this character who's not a part of the royal family, and it's like, oh, here's the truth. This is very interesting knowledge. So I like the way that they handled that, where she's like, everything you guys do kind of sucks, because that's pretty much what's happening. Like, everyone who watches the show feels the same way. So they kind of already had that in there. And I was like, that's actually kind of cool that they, officially put that in there. But like I said, Locust gets her dying breath moment, and Blackbolt nods his head. Who knows if that really means anything. I think they are going to make them like actual good characters, because they will come to the realization that they've screwed up, and they will get rid of Maximus, and then it's like, we will change, everything that's been. And ultimately, we'll just have to kind of see how that ends up playing out. But decent episode. Like I said, I really enjoyed the stuff they actually did with Karnak and his character kind of developing. The little switch with, Karnak and Gorgon, as far as, them being, switching, like one being the smart person, the other being the guy who just kind of, he really does do some dumb stuff. I mean, that probably should have been obvious, I think. I mean, as long as they've been alive, I think it should have been obvious, like, hey, you can't move stuff on the moon because there are satellites that orbit the moon. I think that really should have been obvious to him. Like, that thing's been there for a long time. Maybe don't move that. I love the fact that he was like, look what I found, because, like, he didn't know exactly where it was. It was like, check it out, I just found it. So I thought that was actually kind of funny when he came in. But like the episode, we have Orin, who's, she comes back to life, of course, from like an absolute explosion. So she was completely dead. She doesn't have to be like slightly wounded. She can just die and come back. I do wonder if there's like a limit to that. I kind of doubt it, but who knows? But she comes back, she heals herself up. She still has to do like the hand wave thing, which I find interesting. Like, she can die and come straight back to life, but she still has to do like the hand wave, or like kind of almost like focus her powers to actually heal her body. So she gets in there, she talks with the Dr. Declan, and she ends up killing the other dude who tried to kill her, and stabbed him straight line. It's like, yep, well, there he goes, he's dead. And what she was supposed to do was not say that she worked for Maximus. Like, that was like the first thing he said. It was like, keep him alive, don't tell him you're working for me, because I don't need him getting like oddly suspicious. And of course she says that at the end when she calls in the dude, I should remember his name, but I completely forgot by this episode. The dude who can't like take the mask off, he brings him and the one who can control nature, brings the two of them back. They keep Blackbolt's buddy from prison, and she's like, King Maximus wants us to continue with the goal and everything. And so Declan's like, that's weird. And I was like, well, she screwed that up, so she's gonna fail again. I don't know if she can permanently die, but if Maximus finds a way, he's gonna be super pissed with her, because she's kind of failed with some of the people that she's had with her, and then there's that, which I'm sure is going to impact whatever Declan ends up doing. So that'll be another failure, on her part. But they're going to kind of try to bring everybody in, trap the royal family, which I'm sure will not work, and naturally they will get screwed over again. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. And then, of course, on Adelan we have Maximus, and there's just more. We actually get to see the rebel group that's actually still on Adelan, because of course people are not trying to follow a false king. So his buddy, is trying to talk to him, is like, some people might think that you're doing this more for you than you are, really for Adelan. Although the moment that they have afterwards, where he kicks his friend out and he actually talks to like his father's statue, it does make me wonder. I was like, well, the way he's being emotional about it does make it seem like he is actually doing it for Adelan. But at the same time, a great story is always a character who's doing one thing and they think it's for this reason, and then it's like, you're really just doing it for yourself. So he might still believe it's for Adelan, but of course it'll continue to go further and further. And they even touched on that with the fact that freedom can't just be given, it has to be earned. And so he's forcing, and they talk about that even on Earth with Medusa. It was like, well, then Maximus forced you to come here to find us. So it's like, he's still kind of doing what we're doing, but his end goal is to be like, okay, once they're dead, then all the good stuff can happen. But in this immediate, moment, he's still kind of just picking and choosing. I'm in power, and you do as I command. So we'll see how that plays out. That's probably one of the more interesting storylines that's kind of going consistently, where he's just constantly trying to make stuff work, but now they're touching on the fact that maybe he is doing it more for himself. So we'll see how it plays out. And of course, his buddy ends up running into these other people where he thought they were there to kill him because he made Maximus angry, and then they're like, no, we're actually some of the people you were talking about who aren't exactly keen on this new guy, taking over as a false king. So now we have another rebel faction as far as Maximus is concerned, so he's got to deal with them and the royal family coming back. We see them like in their outfits and everything in the promo, so I don't know if that's in the next episode. I would assume it's not, because then it's like, well, if they get back to Adeland and they capture him, there's nothing else to do for the next 2 episodes. So I think they were kind of showing promos for the next couple of episodes. I could be wrong. They might actually get back, and I don't know where the heck it could be headed. If they get back in the next episode and take him down, it's like, all right, well, I got nothing for that. So I could be wrong, but I think that was just a promo for actually within the finale, or maybe even the episode like right before it. But I'm excited for where we're headed. Knowing that we're going towards the season finale actually has me excited and very curious. With the season being so short, I almost wonder why they even have this stuff with Crystal. I was like, the relationship stuff is already just irrelevant to me. I could not possibly care less. And then it's like, yeah, we only got 3 more episodes left this season, and it's just like, that was almost pointless. I don't know. I mean, I know they had, her controlling Lockjaw and being one of the main characters. It makes sense, but it's like, couldn't she have just been lost by herself, or with a character like, I mean, just not have done like the seemingly obvious relationship stuff that they're kind of doing with the guy, and I guess his jealous girlfriend who's going to get in an argument with Crystal, and then she burns her phone because she's trying to record her, and I don't know. I just don't care. It's already like a love triangle, which is like the dumbest thing in the universe, and it's making me mad just thinking about it, because like, who cares? And now we're already, like I said, finding out we got 3 more episodes left. It makes it even less useful. It's like, how can that possibly come to a useful conclusion? Like, I'm sure there'd be some issues. Maybe her popping up in the news is how the rest of the family finds her, or contacts her at least, or something like that, and that's how she teleports to them, and then they finally go back home. But it's just like, I don't understand why that had to be her story, where it's like a pseudo love story. And it's just like, just let her, I don't know, just find a dude, and they aren't, it doesn't seem like all lovey-dovey, and she's like, wow, I really like being with this one human. It's like, I just don't care. I couldn't care less. And they've done nothing so far. Lockjaw has been healed, and they teleported and found nobody, and then the dude took his shirt off and they went in the water. It's like, great, I don't care. So that's how I'm feeling about that story. It just means nothing to me. But we'll see how it develops over these last couple of episodes, as well as how this is all supposed to wrap up. Like I said, I thought we had a lot more to go, and I don't know, it kind of changes things, because I thought maybe it would take longer for them to get back, and even if they did get back, maybe that would be like the first half of how everything plays out, and then we would get a couple more episodes afterwards to see where it's going for season 2, which I'm sure we'll get some clues as to where it's headed, but I just didn't think it would be this soon, where it's like, yep, and we're already done, hopefully not canceled. I just hate seeing a show get canceled, but who the F knows? It's on Fridays, and it already had bad press way beforehand, and during, and currently, so I don't really know, but I'm curious to see how things play out. Like I said, I actually did enjoy this episode. I think it was the best one that we've had so far. But of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it, and considering we now only have 3 episodes to go, I would love to know your theories for how things are going to end for this season. Like, what theories you guys have as far as character interactions, character deaths, if we're going to get any. I'm sure it won't be anyone super relevant, like the royal family will survive. Maybe they'll kill off some of the human characters. I mean, there aren't that many, so I don't know. I mean, they could kill off the Doctor. I don't think they'll do that, because how that could easily lead into what Maximus is trying to do with him being able to go through Terrigenesis again. So I don't think he'll end up dying off. I don't think the woman who helped Medusa will die off either, because she was like the first human character to be introduced, and she was in the first episode. So I don't think that would be a thing where it's like, this character seems like a main character and then she dies, by the end of the season. But you never know. Some shows do that. But we'd love to know your theories on how these next 3 episodes are going to play out. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.